false 96, but the yo is a 0, and today is a big one. With the preliminary England squad being released this week, I wanted to let the world know who I think should be boarding that plane in June. I have compiled a list of 45 players who I think will be in the running for selection, and I'm going to whittle it down to the limited 26-player squad. Now, I am recording this before Gareth Southgate actually names his preliminary squad, so I can't comment on his picks, but I am going to go into detail on why I am or am not picking each one of these 45 players. So there's going to be plenty of information on whether our man Gareth and I are in agreement. I'd wager that we won't be, but if you want to see, then make sure to stick around and watch the rest of this video on my selection for the England Euro squad. Jordan Pickford, starting with the goalkeepers and starting with my first choice by a long way. I've been surprised to see the odd person suggesting Ramsdale should be the starting goalkeeper after the season we've had. I would understand the argument last season, but this season, you've got a guy who is keeping one clean sheet in every 3 games and saving 75% of those shots faced, having played every single minute of league football, which, to be honest, is a bloody good return. With 13 clean sheets in the league, second to only David Raya, he is by far the best English goalkeeper in form, and he's one of the easiest picks of this list. Goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale, onto the aforementioned Ramsdale now, and he really hasn't played a lot this season. Only 11 appearances across all competitions, with his last outing coming in a 2-1 win over Brentford on the 9th of March, in which he made an error leading to the Brentford goal. It's not great reading, and he will probably be slightly match rusty, but he is still, of course, a really good goalkeeper. And although we haven't got to see much of him this season, I'm sure his levels haven't dropped off from last season, in where he was one of the better goalkeepers in the league. He is a solid deputy to Pickford and will be joining him on the plane. Goalkeeper Nick Pope, onto Pope now, who in usual circumstances will be an easy pick to join up with the team. A tremendous shot stopper who was a force of nature for Newcastle last season. For years there have been fans pushing his name for first choice of England, and he has always been in and around the squad for a long time now. But this season has been a watch out for him. A major injury right at the start of December has kept him on the sidelines for a very long time and has kept him from making any further appearances. Technically, he has actually played more than Ramsdale this season, and he has just returned from that long-term injury, but at least Ramsdale has been fit and training this whole time. Training alongside the goalkeeper with the most clean sheets in the league, by the way. You'd like to think we wouldn't be put into a situation where we are relying on our third choice goalkeeper, but if we do, we want to be safe in the knowledge that we have someone fit and ready. So I'm sorry, Pope, but you are the first of the list who I'm leaving out of this tournament. Goalkeeper Jack Butland, the return of a player who was widely considered as the future of the England goalkeeping position in his early days. His career hasn't panned out how we had all hoped, and it looked like his chances of returning to the England setup were done. But a redemption arc has been playing out at Rangers this season, and Butland is back on form. Having played every single game for a Rangers side who have only just missed out on the title, he's been having an excellent season for them, playing 56 times across all competitions, keeping 25 clean sheets, and only conceding 49 goals. I know it is the Scottish League and the competition isn't the highest level, but it is still really good form. He's a mature head and he has experience of being in the Gareth Southgate England setup. An ideal pick for the third choice goalkeeper. Goalkeeper Sam Johnston, another solid goalkeeper, but like Nick Pope, he has spent a lot of time on the sidelines with injury and is still currently out. I've made my 3 goalkeeper picks and I won't be making a 4th, so Johnston is getting left out of this one. Right back, Kyle Walker, moving on to the defenders, and an easy pick here in Kyle Walker. 45 appearances in all competitions for yet another dominating season for Manchester City. He has been one of the best fullbacks in the world over the past decade, and some argue England's greatest ever right back. Chuck into there that he can also reliably play centre back in a back 3, and you have some versatility there to boot, which is always going to be a benefit to this side. He might be turning 34 before the end of the month, but he is still a top level fullback and will be joining the England squad for his 5th international tournament. But could this be his last? Let me know your thoughts down below. Right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, onto one of the most gifted England players around at this moment in time, and he is, of course, an easy selection for me. It seems crazy to me that he was missing out on England squads a year or so ago. I know we have plenty of talented right backs, and I know Trent doesn't fit Southgate's style of play completely, but there is no way you should be leaving a world-class player out of the national team. He's the best passer in the squad. He can come into midfield as an option there, and he is another fantastic choice to have there for set pieces. Another easy choice. Right back Reece James, now from one easy choice to one not so easy choice. Based on ability, Reece James would be getting my third right back spot, but the lad just can't stay fit. Having only just returned from an injury that has kept him out for 6 months, James has only managed 500 minutes across all competitions this season, with only 30 of those coming in the last mentioned 6 months. Rusty and unreliable, a good player, but we need match fit members joining this squad. Right back Kieran Trippier, similarly to Kyle Walker, Trippier isn't getting any younger, but similarly to Kyle Walker, he is still a superb player. Injuries have plagued him a bit this season, having recently been out for a couple of months, but he has still managed 38 games across all competitions this season, scoring once and totting up 11 assists in total. He might be on his way downward, but the productivity levels are still well above most. A lot of my picks are going to talk about versatility, as they have done already, and because it is incredibly important for tournament football to have players who can fill multiple positions. So with that in mind, as well as his still high performance levels, I'm putting him in as third choice right and left back. Right back Rico Lewis. Early doors, I'm saying this is a tournament too soon for Rico Lewis. He's a class young player and I think he is going to be involved with England very soon, but he is in a hotly contested position and he isn't playing enough minutes yet to convince me that he deserves a spot over those other players. Have patience, Rico, and you'll be in the England team soon enough, just maybe not this soon. Centre-back John Stones, despite never really playing every single game for a constantly rotating Manchester City under Pep, this is still an obvious pick. Stones is definitely England's best centre-back, playing for arguably the strongest club team in the world and never letting his standards slip. Not much needs to be mentioned on this one. He's in the team. Centre-back Marc Guéhi, onto a harder choice here with Marc Guéhi. I really like this lad. I think he is a top talent, still so young and with bags of potential. Guéhi's been around the international setup for a little while now, and he is one of the best players for his club side. The only issue is his recent injury situation. Yet another player who has been out for a very long time and only just making his return to the team right before the end of the season. Realistically, I'm looking at Guéhi or Konsa, as I think it will be a toss-up between the two. Both similar defenders, both with ability and both performing consistently in the league, but one has missed half the season and one is playing week in, week out for a team who have just qualified for Champions League. I'm reluctantly going to have to leave Guéhi out. Centre-back Ezri Konsa, onto Konsa then, and as it has probably become very clear from my last entry, I think Konsa goes to this tournament. He hasn't played much for England previously, but he does at least have some international experience, and he is the England centre-back with the most minutes under his belt this season. He's been a stalwart for one of the best Aston Villa teams of the Premier League era. Big, strong, fast and commanding, he's a real force at the back for his club team, and if ever England are needing someone to bully the attacking opposition, Konsa's your man. But put down below whether you agree with me that Konsa is the right choice or whether Guéhi should be going instead. Centre-back Harry Maguire, a very interesting character here then with Maguire. This time last year he was going through a torrid time with club and country, getting pelters from fans across the country, media hounding him. It was an awful time for Maguire and surely the lowest he has ever felt in his career. But fair play to the lad, he never rose to it and instead he has rose his performances back to what they had been previously. Being one of the better players in, granted, a poor United squad this season, he has shown that he is still a good player and it has given us some way of an idea as to why United paid the money they did for him in the first place, although it was still, of course, far too high. 4 goals and 2 assists across 31 appearances for Manchester United this season. He has continued his ability to pop up with goal involvements from the back, which will be vital for England in those tough, nitty-gritty matches. I wouldn't have picked him a year ago, but now get in the team, Harry lad. Centre-back Jarrad Branthwaite, Everton's new fan favourite. They absolutely love Branthwaite and a lot of the country are eulogising over him too. A classic modern-day centre-back with the physical prowess of a traditional centre-back to boot. Branthwaite has a lot of potential and you only really see his career going up from here, playing nearly every game of Everton's season and featuring for 12 of those 13 clean sheets. He has been an important cog in a team who carry the second best defensive record in the league. A top young player and a left-sided centre-back at that Branthwaite is going in as my 10th pick. Centre-back Lewis Dunk, another centre-back and another physical presence at the back. Lewis Dunk has been a monster for Brighton for a seriously long time and has had a tremendous career along with it, still playing nearly every game for a Brighton side who, despite a not quite so stellar season this time around, are still one of the better Premier League sides. I like Dunk and I have a lot of respect for what he has done at Brighton, but his performances in those last England friendlies against Brazil and Belgium brought a lot of concern that Dunk just isn't good enough among the world's best. I wouldn't base my pick on those friendlies, but they are worth mentioning, and having picked 5 centre-backs already, I'm afraid he's missing out of my team. Centre-back Joe Gomez, a return to the England setup after 4 years, was a very welcome and completely deserved return after a season that has proven to be the resurgence of Joe Gomez in a Liverpool shirt. A couple of less than ideal seasons after his major injury layoff made it look as though Gomez's Liverpool and definitely his England career could be coming to an end, but in a season where Liverpool have suffered massively from injuries at the back, Gomez has stepped up at right back, centre back, left back, and even a rare appearance as a centre defensive mid. He has been back to his very best this season and has proven to be one of Liverpool's best, and surprisingly for his injuries, his most reliable players in a season where they have finished third in the league and having won the Carabao Cup. His performance levels have been so high this season, and with the versatility to play across the entire back line, I think Gomez has to be on the plane for this year's Euros. Centre-back Levi Colwill onto my last centre-back of the list, and I'm going to move pretty quickly with this one. He has featured in about half of Chelsea's games and the potential is clearly right up there, but I think this tournament has come too soon for him, especially with the rest of the competition in his position. A good player, but he's going to have to miss out this season for me. And whilst we are moving on from the centre-backs in the team, I would like to note here that obviously I have left the versatile Ben White out, and obviously based on his performances, he should be included in this video, but considering the fallout with Gareth Southgate, I don't think he'll even be considered for selection. So I've tried to focus on players who will be on the manager's radar, but let me know in the comments if you think White should be joining the Three Lions in Germany this summer. Left back Luke Shaw, England's first choice left back for a number of years now. Luke Shaw still holds a lot of favour at club and international level, but the only topic of discussion on him is obviously that injury record. In his 10 years at Manchester United, he has only made more than 30 appearances on 2 occasions, which is an absolutely horrific statistic, and this season has been no better. 12 appearances in the league this season isn't ideal, and neither is the fact that he hasn't played since February, but he is very close to a return date, with the FA Cup final being touted, so he should be fit for the tournament. The question is then, is he worth the risk? And for me, I think he is. With Kieran Trippier and Joe Gomez as options to cover in at left back, they could have a big involvement during the group stages, whilst Luke Shaw gets up to fitness. And then if England were to get through to the knockouts, it will be a huge boost to have him available, pending the return from injury. I say bring him in, but what do you think? Is he worth the risk, or would you opt for someone else? Left back Ben Chilwell. Similar to Luke Shaw, Ben Chilwell has his injury issues, and similarly to Shaw, he's currently out injured, but unlike Shaw, I don't think Chilwell is going to make it back in time, and unlike Shaw, I wouldn't take the risk on him. Chilwell is a decent enough player, but I don't think he adds anything more than backups Trippier or Gomez do. I know he is a natural left back, but each spot in the team is precious, and giving it to an injured Chilwell when you already have those two who can cover in that position doesn't add up for me. Left back Tarek Mitchell, this one isn't an easy one. I like Mitchell a lot and I think he's a good player. Add to that the amount of game time he's been getting for Crystal Palace, and he is a really good shout as a backup left back. But does he get in ahead of either of those two backups again in Kieran Trippier and Joe Gomez? I don't think so, to be honest. It's been a couple of years since he made his first appearances for England, and I think he's going to have to wait a bit longer before he earns another call-up. But something I do not want to wait a bit longer for is your subscription to this budding little football channel. My goal is to make this a large community of fellow fans of the beautiful game, getting involved in the content that I'm putting out each and every single week. But I can't do that without your support. So again, here's your mid-video reminder. Hit that subscribe button. Then defensive mid Declan Rice. Next up, midfielders. And next up, one of the most important players in the squad, Declan Rice. It's a given, this one. The lad is top level, and there are very few weaknesses to his game. He can tackle, he can pass, he can dribble, and he can score. A brilliant player who has had a brilliant first season at the Arsenal. Although I like him as one of the midfielders with a bit more freedom to box it, he is one of the only players in the England setup who can play that central defensive midfielder role. And that is going to be so huge for England in this tournament. We're putting Declan Rice right into the team. Centre defensive mid Jordan Henderson, a former Liverpool player, and I have no qualms in saying a Liverpool legend. Jordan Henderson has been vastly underappreciated by the majority of neutral fans during his career, but Liverpool fans who watched him week in, week out will tell you just how good of a player he was and just how important to Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool he was, and in addition, how important to Gareth Southgate's England he was. That being said, I will point out that was is the word that I am using for him, and that is intentional. As much as I love the guy as a Liverpool fan for what he accomplished as captain of my team, I think it is about time that we call it on his England career and welcome in a new dawn of young international talent. Centre defensive mid James Ward-Prowse, moving on to the man who began his West Ham career like a rocket at the start of the season. The free kick maestro has been an ever-present in a West Ham side who have had a bit of a mixed bag of a season. Finishing in 9th place with a very shared balance of results, it's been a developmental season for a new look West Ham team following their European triumph last season. With 7 goals and 7 assists to his name this season, Ward-Prowse has proven yet again just how good of a midfielder he is and how much he can add to that attacking talent. However, for the balance within this team, there are other midfielders who I think take precedent over Ward-Prowse, and then when you have the option of Trent, who can produce the passes and close enough to the free kicks that Ward-Prowse can, it becomes very difficult to justify his inclusion. Centre defensive mid Calvin Phillips, I'm going to move very quickly through this one. I know he's a favourite of Gareth's, but surely there is no way that he could be picked this time around. Surely. Barely played over the past couple of years and currently injured, he's probably the player furthest away from my England squad. Centre mid Jude Bellingham, from the player furthest away from my squad to the player closest. Jude Bellingham, without hyping him too much, is our Zinedine Zidane. Nah, I joke, but he is bloody brilliant, isn't he? The start he had to this season was on a completely different level, and having played 27 times in the league, he has managed 19 goals and 6 assists. In Europe, he has played 10 times, scored 4 and bagged another 4 assists. That's 33 goal contributions in 37 games for the biggest club in the world, and oh yeah, the guy's a midfielder apparently. That is Ballon d'Or levels. What do you reckon? Comment below if you think he is winning it this season. I believe he will. He's got the ability to play anywhere on the pitch and he's got the talent to potentially take England far in this tournament. Centre mid Conor Gallagher, a player I'm fond of and a player who has changed their game quite a lot this season with Chelsea. Previously much more of an attacking midfielder, during his load spells away, he has been relied on as more of a box-to-box midfielder this season, showing his importance from a defensive aspect to try and protect that Chelsea backline. And with 5 goals and 7 assists in the league, he has proven that he can still supplement the attackers further up the pitch with those goal contributions from a deeper position in midfield. Playing nearly every minute of this Premier League season, Gallagher will be going into this tournament as one of the most match fit and ready players, and he would be a good squad option to take with us. Centre mid Kobbie Mainoo, I'm conscious of fans and the media getting carried away with Kobbie Mainoo. I see people acting like he's the physical manifestation of a new coming of Manchester United, but the lad has still only recently turned 19 years of age and he has only really been involved in the club scene for half of the season. Having said that, he is very clearly a very talented player, one of the few shining lights of Manchester United's season, and has already in his short career so far been involved in a number of major moments that will be remembered for years to come. I say that with that goal against Liverpool in mind. England are short on players who can play that pivot role in front of the defence, but Mainoo can do that, and having played well when he was called up recently, I do think he should be on the play for this year's Euros. It could be a bit soon in his career to thrust him into a major international tournament, but I think England need him. Do you agree? Put your thoughts in the comments below. Centre mid Ross Barkley. If you had asked me a year ago whether Ross Barkley will be in contention for the England squad, I would have laughed you off all the way back to his last international appearance in 2019. But here we are, a month before the tournament, and Barkley is being genuinely considered for the squad, and with just reason. After a free transfer to Luton in the summer, he has gone on to be one of their most important players and has reminded people of just how good of a player he really is. It's been great witnessing his return to form again and seeing the talent that he has at his disposal. But having said all of that, there's just too many players who play in his position and players who have been around this England team on a regular basis. It's been great to see him back to form at club level, but I don't think we should be seeing him back at international level for this tournament. Centre attacking mid Cole Palmer, one of the players of the season. This entry is an open goal. 22 goals and 10 assists, making a total of 33 goal contributions in 33 league games. Genuinely How is he producing these numbers? He's playing for a below par Chelsea side and having had so little experience prior to his move there, but those numbers are better than some of the greatest strikers to have ever graced the Premier League. Even Didier Drogba, Chelsea's greatest striker during the Premier League era, only managed a greater goal return once in 9 seasons at Chelsea. Insane stuff, and I'd be insane not to include him in this squad. Centre attacker mid James Maddison. It is fair to say that James Maddison hasn't been his early season dominant self since his return from that quite lengthy injury that he had over the Christmas period. He's looked a little disjointed within the Spurs team at times, and it could be argued that he is out of form. However, the ability that Maddison has when he is on his best is astronomical, and what he could add to this team with his penetrating passes from an attacking position could be what the squad needs in those tough games where they are struggling to pick the lock. I'm putting him in. Central attacker mid Eberechi Eze. We are talking about a great talent here, and I truly do believe that. He's had his injury issues this season, but when Eze and Elise have been on the pitch together this season, they have absolutely destroyed teams on a number of occasions. A great dribbler of the ball and a real attacking impetus. He has managed 12 goal contributions from 26 league games this season, an excellent return for a mid-table side who have a history of struggling in front of goal. He's a different type of player, and England will benefit from having that option, so I'm going to pick it. Centre attacker mid Harvey Elliott. I think Elliott is finally starting to get a bit more recognition for just how good of a player he is as we are reaching the end of the season. Even as a squad player, he has been the difference in a number of games for the Liverpool team this season and has contributed some massively important goals this season. The lad is an attacking midfielder, but he is so industrious, working hard to break plays just as much as he sets them up. He's only just turned 21 and already has so much experience, but I still think this might be just a touch too soon. I would love to pick Elliott, but I can't justify his inclusion just yet over the other players in his position. Right wing Bukayo Saka, there's no debating this one. Yet another incredible season for Saka and a shoo-in for the starting lineup, not just the squad. 16 goals and 9 assists are big numbers for a winger in the Premier League, some of the biggest numbers across the league entirely in fact, but it's no secret Bukayo Saka is a world-class talent, and we don't leave world-class talent at home. Right wing Jadon Sancho. It's interesting that Sancho is back in the conversation for the England squad after a return to form with his loan at Dortmund and having a major involvement in their qualification for the Champions League final. He's clearly a top player, and I hope for him and England that he can get a move away from United this summer and keep this resurgence going so that we can truly see the best Jadon Sancho again. But for this tournament, nah. I'm leaving him at home. It is too soon to bring him back into the fold after such a short period, and to be honest, for him, it's probably best that he be left at home so that he can resolve his future and make sure that he doesn't fall off the pace again. Right wing Jarrod Bowen, through to the second West Ham player of the list, and a player who I massively rate. He's the best player for West Ham at this moment in time, and his stats this season have been right up there. Such a major part of the team who just keeps totting up those goal contributions. Not only can he play in the wing role, but he can also play up top, which is a really nice option for England to have, and it's an option that I think would throw other teams off if we were in a situation where we had to do that. An excellent backup Saka. Bowen's going in. Left wing Phil Foden. There's been a few guaranteed picks in this list, and Phil Foden is no exception. Coming off the back of the best season of his career so far, and still at such a young age, the lad is only going to keep going up from here on out, and Ballon d'Or is surely in his future. It has been clear for a long time just how good Foden is, but I think we have had the best evidence of that this season when he had to step into Kevin De Bruyne's shoes during that lengthy injury, and in doing so, he became Manchester City's most impactful player. Just like that. And just like that, he's in the team. Left wing Anthony Gordon. Rewind a couple of years ago when Chelsea were bidding 40 million for Gordon, and pretty much everyone thought that was crazy money. When he moved to Newcastle and struggled for them, it seemed we were all vindicated, but no. He's proven us wrong, and fair frigging play to him. Anthony Gordon has been brilliant this season and has tore teams apart on a number of occasions. 21 goal contributions in the league is top level, and only slightly less than Saka on the other side, who's considered as one of the best wingers in the world. Gordon just has to make the squad in my eyes. Left wing Marcus Rashford. the inconsistent enigma that is Marcus Rashford. One season he's scoring 30 goals, the next he's scoring 8. I just don't get it. He's such a talented player and has all the attributes to absolutely wreck opposition defences, but this season we have seen that so incredibly rarely. Off the boil and just doesn't look at it at all. I don't see how I could put him in ahead of these other players. One of England's regulars over the past few years. I'm afraid he doesn't make my squad, but does he make yours? Put your team in the comments section. Left wing Jack Grealish. I did not expect Grealish to have such a lacklustre season this time out. In Manchester City's treble winning campaign last season, Grealish was a vital member of the team and had a major involvement in their unprecedented success. Perhaps the well-documented celebrations got to him because this season has been a shadow of his performances in the last. He's obviously a brilliant player and he does offer you something very different within the team, but I've got Foden, Gordon, Eze and even Maddison who can play on his side of the wing. I just can't justify his selection within this team. Striker Harry Kane, another given of an entry now, and the last of those names who will be straight on the team sheet. Harry Kane is on a world of his own. Having been plying his trade in the Bundesliga this season, he has scored 44 goals and set up another 12 in 45 matches for his new team. His first ever time playing for this team and in this country, and having 56 direct goal involvements to his name is honestly some of the best numbers we have ever seen. Truly a world-class player and in a league of his own. Striker Ollie Watkins. I have been completely shocked by Ollie Watkins this season. I knew he was a good player, a great player in fact, but 32 goal contributions in the league is an absolute far cry from the numbers he has ever produced previously. He is 4th in the goal scoring rankings and 1st in the assist rankings in the league, and has been the main component in Aston Villa qualifying for Champions League football ahead of the likes of Spurs, Newcastle, Manchester United and Chelsea. A great striker who I would argue could also play on the wing if somehow the abundance of wingers I've included in this team somehow got injured. He gets in my squad as the second choice striker. Striker Callum Wilson, the 3rd striker in this list, but I don't think he is going to be the 3rd striker in this squad. In previous years, I'd be an advocate for Wilson being in the England squad, but injuries have hampered him big time this season and have restricted his game time massively. Currently on the sidelines again, I don't see how Wilson can be in the squad. Striker Ivan Toney. After Toney's return from his ban and those first couple of games in which he scored some major goals, it seemed as though he was just picking up from where he left off and was going to go on to have an unbelievable second half of the season, but actually that has sort of sizzled out. With Brentford's struggles, Toney hasn't quite been his complete striker self and has struggled to score as consistently as he has done in the past. We know the talent, and even out of form he would be in with a shout, but for me, Toney doesn't make the cut, which leaves just one more space and one more player. Striker Dominic Solanke, the last player of this list and the last player in my England squad. After the season this lad has had, it would be such a shame for him not to join up with the England squad. I understand that it's a bit of a risk having not featured previously, but come on. He scored 19 goals in the league this season for Bournemouth, who have of course had a good season, but without trying to cause offence, it's still Bournemouth. There's the argument to be had that with Kane up top, we don't need 3 out-and-out strikers, and I do get that, and it did give me food for thought. But looking at this team that I've drafted, and it is packed with wingers and attacking midfielders, as well as Watkins, who could do a job on the wing if required, why not have a 3rd striker in there who might provide something a little different to Watkins or even Bowen, and who we know could score a couple of vital goals if required? Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this pick, but in my team, my final spot is going to Dominic Solanke. Phew, now that was a supersized video. Is there anyone who I've missed out, or is there anyone who I've picked to board that plane who you think should be left at home? Well, make sure to let me know what you thought of my selection in the comments down below. And whilst you're at it, please do remember to like and subscribe to support the channel and ensure that I'm able to keep putting videos out just like this every single week. And if you want even more content, I am on TikTok, X, Instagram and Twitch, where I do all of my streaming, all under the same handle, Bolts96, but the O is a 0. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Come on, England!